Breaking news, the Trump administration throwing down the gauntlet. Good evening, I'm Charles Payne. Just a short time ago, Attorney General Jeff Sessions asked the remaining 46 Obama-appointed U.S. attorneys to tender their resignations. What are the implications and what's going to happen next? We are joined now by former federal prosecutor Michael Wilds, Kirsten Haglund, Rich Lowry, and Gina Loudon. Michael, I'll start with you. There are 93 U.S. Attorney Generals, 46 were appointed by Barack Obama. This is not necessarily unusual for the new administration to have their people in, but Dianne Feinstein is calling it abrupt.
No doubt. Thanks, Charles, for having me. I'm in our Miami office. This is no doubt a circumstance that happens every time there's a changing of the guard. You want to be delicate on major terrorism and corruption trials. So removing the U.S. attorney from New York may be a sigh of relief for the mayor of New York, the governor of New York, and people that are under investigation. But it is part of and parcel of the privilege. To the victor goes all the spoils, and they should have lawyers who advocate the president's policies. It would be unorthodox to actually have a prosecutor, a federal prosecutor, who is not walking in sync with the president of the United States.
Right.
That is, again, the prerogative of the administration, to place his lawyers around the nation.
Gina, draining the swamp, I think a lot of people wonder what took so long, and I'm sure this move will be cheered in conservative circles.
Yes, it's one of the best pieces of news I've had this week, Charles. But here's the sad part that is not so happy, and that is that it is, to me, a disappointment that the Obama administration has politicized these bureaucracies to such a degree that these things are even necessary. Some of these people are in the middle of cases they've been investigating for years, and it would be nice to think that there could be more continuity. The politicization that has happened under Obama and with Hillary of our federal bureaucracies needs to be paramount in the minds of the American people as they continue to decide who they're going to vote for, because this is not good for America overall, that President Trump has to do these things.
Well, you know, Rich, speaking of politicalization, some will center around Preet Bharara in Manhattan, New York, because there have been calls for an investigation into whatever's going on with Donald Trump. We don't know what's going on there. We know that all 46 were asked, and it would make sense. And again, some people are saying, hey, this probably should have happened sooner, but it's a logical move.
Yeah, well, he's the one I would be really tempted to keep, because I think he's done a tremendous job making strides towards cleaning up the cesspool that is New York politics. But as has been said previously here, this is fully within the administration's rights to do. And on the principle that the Democrats overreact to everything, this will be portrayed as some coup or some
Friday night massacre.
Friday night massacre, whereas this is what happens. You clean out the old guard and bring in your new guard as part of the consequence of an election. You
know, Kirsten, there's a lot of anxiety, obviously, right now. Particularly when it comes to the intelligence community, and some of it probably dribbles over into law enforcement in general. So this is also probably a welcome move with respect to restarting that relationship, because I think the American public is leery right now.
Oh, 100% correct. And also, you can see that this happened because with President Obama, when they did this, he actually allowed all of President Bush's nominees to stay until their replacements were confirmed. This is different. Jeff Sessions, as Attorney General, coming in and saying, all right, all the rest of you need to resign. But I think what it points to is this kind of distrust of the Obama appointees and all those people left over from that administration, which has been seen throughout, all the Democrats' pushback on everything that Donald Trump has tried to do and all of his cabinet appointments. So I think you're seeing, all right, if you guys aren't going to play fair and square with us, if you aren't going to give us a chance here, fine, you all need to resign. And so I think that's part of combating that anxiety that there might be some pushback from people in the DOJ
Charles?
and the intelligence community.
Michael?
Yeah, I had the privilege of serving as a federal prosecutor in Brooklyn in the Eastern District of New York under the auspices of one U.S. attorney who was then replaced by another one. And there are presidential appointments where this happens all the time. There are acting U.S. attorneys. There is a bifurcation in the criminal and the civil divisions. So the business of the government, the prosecution of bad guys, the removal of worse guys can actually continue. The president should have in place the people he needs. Whether you won or lost by a certain majority of the nation, the president needs his tools to do what he considers to be in the best interest of law enforcement.